Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream watch along on the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. It is the first test between India and Australia from Nagpur. It is day number 3, session number 1 of this third day's play. India in the box seat, a commanding position in this test match. They lead by 144 runs on the first innings, 7 for 321 in their first innings. And Australia very far behind in this test match, but there's still a lot of cricket to be played. And what will happen on day 3 of this first test of this series? So, tough day for Australia yesterday, and it's also a tough day for them throughout this whole entire test match. Day 1 was difficult, day 2 difficult, day 3, let's hope Australia can put in a better performance than they have. So we're not far away from the first session getting started, and it's going to be a interesting period of play in this first session. See how India go about it. Do they want to declare, bat on? They can do whatever they want because they're pretty much in the box seat. Whereas Australia, they'll be hoping to pick up 3 quick wickets to wrap up this innings quickly so they can get out and start their second innings and hope for a better batting performance than they did in the first innings, I should say, which was a pretty poor performance from Australia. But no surprise, given how difficult it is for Australian teams to come over to the subcontinent and perform, especially in these conditions. So, India, as I mentioned, they lead by 144. Excellent partnership at the moment between Jadeja and Axar Patel has really got India into a firm position, and no doubt Rohit Sharma will be pleased with how India have been placed in this test match. For Australia, Pat Cummins, a lot of thinking to do, a lot of trying to get something out of this test match if they can. That will be the goal for Australia. If they can bat better in the second innings, that's a positive, I suppose. But I guess the one positive has been Todd Murphy, young off-spinner from Victoria, 5 wickets on debut. I thought he bowled very well. And one of the positives for Australia in this test match thus far. And India, well, this is what they do to sides at home, especially if the opposition bats first. They bowl them out for a low score. And when they bat, they can usually bat big and get a good advantage in the match, and that's what we've seen in this test match. So it's not a surprise. India's strong at home. It's been a very dominant performance by the home side, but still plenty of cricket to be played in this test match. And for India, there's still a lot of work for them to do if they are going to go 1-0 up in the series, which you would think is most likely to happen. But nonetheless, we've still got plenty of cricket to play, and it's still test cricket, so it's going to be a grind. It's not going to be easy. Let's see what day 3 has in store for us. But thanks for joining us, everyone, and let's have some good fun, and let's see what the next couple of hours will bring us in this first session of play. So we're not far away from the first over of the day and the first ball. And it's definitely going to be tough work for Australia. But I think the goal for them early this morning will be to pick up these 3 wickets as soon as possible and look to get out and start their batting in their second innings, because that will be the key. If they can do that, then you never know what will transpire. So we're not far away, and be interesting to hear everyone's thoughts on this test match thus far. What do you think about it? Do you think it's as we expected, or you're disappointed with a few things? Let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to hear your thoughts and any questions that you may have as well. But yes, difficult day for Australia. It's been a difficult start to this series. It's been a difficult start to this test match. But I suppose you got to pick yourself up and go again today. Today's a new day. Yesterday's already happened. And today is all about trying to remain positive despite being in a difficult set of circumstances. But remaining positive, upbeat, and I think the team has to be like that today for Australia. For India, it'll be interesting to see how they go about things today. Will they bat on? Will they declare? I think they've already got enough runs as it is, but I think they would like to, probably get that over to 200. I think that's plenty. Look to wrap up this test match today, and look to really make a mark at the start of this series if they are going to do that. But we shall see. India, they can do whatever they want. They can bat on for a couple of sessions or wait until they get bowled out by Australia, and whatever they have as a lead is good enough. But it's already a substantial lead. 144 is not bad. Definitely in the box seat, that's for sure. So we're not far away from the first ball, the first over of the day. It'll be interesting to see how Australia will go about things with the ball, and they need to take early wickets. That's the key, to try and wrap up this innings as quick as possible and get out there and hope the batting side of things will click, and it will be a lot different than it was in the first innings, that's for sure. But as we wait, thanks for joining us, and let's hope that we see another exciting day of Test match cricket. Yesterday was a pretty good day, I suppose. It was a pretty much a grind for India. They had to earn every run, and to get into this position, Australia had to make them work hard for the runs yesterday, and Australia kept it tight at times. But that last session of play, that's where things started to fall away for Australia. The bowlers getting a bit tired and leaking runs like a sieve. And unfortunately, India were able to capitalize on their position in this test match. But we'll get to the comments. We've got one here from John. John, thanks for offering your thoughts. You say, I'll get this off my chest. Frustrated and rather angry about Australia's approach to this match. Poor selection, poor intent, poor captaincy, just calling a spade a shovel. Yeah, I can understand that. Of course, you'll be frustrated as a fan. It's not ideal, but at the end of the day, we can't really control how the players go about things. As fans, the players are in control of their own actions and how they play in games of cricket, but also in a test match. So no doubt the team will be disappointed with how things have gone thus far, but an opportunity today to rectify that and hopefully perform better than they did in the first innings with a bad Australia. But there's still positives. Tom Murphy's one positive, and he's done pretty well. Very impressed with how he's bowled. So that's a positive for Australia at least. But as you experience in cricket, you have setbacks, you lose games, and it's how you come back, which is the main thing. So how Australia come back in the next test in Delhi will be telling of how they're going to go about playing in this series. But thanks for that, John. Thanks for your thoughts. And we're about to get some play. And the players are making their way out to the field, joined by Axel Patel and Ravinder Jadeja. Good partnership at the moment. It's 50 plus. Both of them have scored half centuries. Axel Patel's on strike, 52 not out. Jadeja at the other end, he's 70 odd not out. He's 66 not out, my mistake. And he's batted really well. He's quite dangerous, Jadeja, in these types of situations. He's really improved his batting. It's going to be the captain, Pat Cummins, to kick off proceedings. He'll be hoping to strike early. He got a wicket. That was Rohit Sharma with an absolute beauty yesterday. He knocked over his off stump after Rohit Sharma was dropped on the previous ball by Steve Smith. And then Pat Cummins wasn't happy that he was dropped on the previous ball, but he got him out with an absolute beauty in the next delivery of the over. So it's going to be Pat Cummins. He's going to be bowling to Axel Patel, the left-hander. He's going to be bowling right arm around the wicket, and we're underway. Cummins in to Patel. And Patel nicely defends on the front foot out to cover, and there is no run. Dot ball to begin the day's play on day 3 of this test. Good delivery first up from Cummins, just trying to get it into the right areas. Axel Patel nicely defended on the front foot, very comfortable. He's been in for 103 balls, so he's gotten used to the pitch. Todd Murphy, very impressed with him. He's on screen now, and he's taken 5 wickets. Wonderful debut for him. Cummins in again to Patel. This one again, Patel works it out to deep point, and he'll pick up his first run of the morning. India move on to 7 for 322. Lead is 145. Quite significant. A lot of work for Australia to do to come back in this match. But anyway, at least Australia can gain something from this match. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's not a great position to be in. And Jadeja on strike for the first time today. Scratches his guard, looks around the field. He's had a pretty good match. 5 wickets and a half centuries, not bad. If India go on to win this match, he'll probably be the player of the match as Cummins in to Jadeja for the first time today. This one wide outside off stump from Cummins, well left from Jadeja. Sees it through to Alex Carey, the wicketkeeper, for no run. We'll get to the comments. Stephen says, 60 years of failure against spin. It's a different spin to Australia. We loop and flight the ball in Australia. On slower, dead pitches, they push it through quicker, and every ball is targeting the stumps. Stephen also says, targeting the stumps, every ball is giving the bowler 3 options: take a wicket, LBW, bowled, and caught. Yes, I would agree with that. And the Indian bowlers, especially the spin bowlers, certainly did that in the first innings. A lot of the dismissals from Australia were bowled and LBWs. Cummins in to Jadeja, who defends this ball outside off stump to cover. And there is no run. So definitely something the Australian spin bowlers can definitely learn from the Indian spinners. But it did look a little bit sedate in terms of the spin from Lyon and Murphy. But anyway, that is the way it is. I would have expected that the pitch would have been a little bit easier to bat on than it was, and India made the most of it. Cummins into Jadeja. This one squares up Jadeja, gets an outside edge, pass, second slip, running away to the third man boundary for a single. Fielder would cut it off, and Jadeja's off the mark to start day 3. Dr. Jihan, you say Axar Patel, Ashwin, and Jadeja have scored 130 runs between them so far. That's been the difference. Axar looks more solid than the Australian top 7. Well, that's the main thing. Is India's tailenders are going to have a lot of success in this series because they can all bat and they're all capable. They've all got centuries. Jadeja and Ashwin in particular have got centuries. Axar Patel's handy as well. And he's shown that with his 53. He's on strike now to Cummins, who's in. And this one angled in down leg side. Axar Patel works it around the corner down to fine leg for another single. He moves on to 54. And that is the end of the first over. India are 7 for 324, and they lead by 147, which is a commanding position to be in. Be interesting to see how India approach this. They can bat as long as they can if they want to. It'll be interesting to see if they think, right, if we can get over 200, pull the pin, get out there and finish off this match today, given how Australia have batted poorly in the first innings. But that will be the situation that India will find themselves. If England were playing this test match against India, let's just say that as a hypothetical, as Nathan Lyon warms up, he comes into the attack. It's been tough work for Nathan Lyon, well experienced. He's got 1 for 98 from his 37 overs. Well experienced, over 460 test wickets for him. Be interesting if Ben Stokes was in this position. If he was in India's position at the moment, I think he would have declared by now and probably got out there with the ball as soon as possible. That's how the way England are playing at the moment. But Rohit Sharma, I don't think he will be doing that. I think he would like a few more runs. As lines into Axar Patel, this one traps him on the pad. An appeal for LBW. Turned down quickly by the umpire. The Australians have dismissed that appeal. They went up but weren't really convinced. Probably going down the leg side, that. Anyway, good start from line. Dot ball. As line continues to Patel. This one defended back to Nathan Lyon from Patel. And there is no run. Just have a look at that LBW shout. Yeah, just way pitching outside leg. It did turn back down the line, but good decision by Richard Illingworth, former left-arm spinner himself for England. Line in to Patel. Patel defends comfortably on the front foot, and there is no run. Stephen, you say in India, they also have a front-on action push the ball through rather than the orthodox pivot style. Line would never ever be able to bowl the Doosra. It lacks variation. We need that line yesterday. Yes, Nathan Lyon does lack variations. He does depend on his stock ball, which is his off spinner. Line into Patel. This one defended again from Patel for no run. Yeah, that's the thing with Nathan Lyon. In these conditions, he does lack that little bit of variation. But, you know, no one can bowl the Doosra anymore, obviously, because to bowl the Doosra, you have to pretty much chuck it, really. Line in to Patel. This one beats him past his outside edge. An appeal for caught behind. Carey was up in a flash. He took it nicely behind the stumps. Pat Cummins asking, did he hit it or not? Are we going to go upstairs for a review? Australia need to wrap up this innings quickly. They go upstairs for the DRS. Pat Cummins gives it the T sign. He says, radio, over to you, third umpire, Richard Illingworth. Signals that. And Michael Goff's the third umpire from England. Very good umpire. And he will adjudicate this caught behind decision, given not out on the field. But yes, thank you for that comment there, Stephen. Jihan says the pitch hasn't played as badly as I thought it was. You're not winning many matches, scoring 177, batting first. I'll bring Green in for Renshaw, Stark in for bowler next match, thoughts. I think I agree with that, Jihan. I think if Cameron Green's fit, he comes in for Renshaw, because Matt Renshaw's got a bit of a knee injury. So if that is likely to put him in doubt for the next test, I think that's an obvious swap. I think, yes, Stark, if he's fit, which looks like he will be for the second test, I'll bring him in for Scott Boland. I thought Scott Boland's done really well in this test. He's kept it quiet. He hasn't taken a wicket, but that's his job. Bowl a good line and length and, not go for too many runs. And he's certainly done that. But obviously new experience for Scott Boland. I think Australia in this match definitely lacks Stark. I think you need a bit of airspeed, someone who can swing it both ways in India. And without Stark on the side, it hasn't helped Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon bowled, I think, too much around the wicket yesterday. He's usually a better bowler in Australia if he bowls outside off stump from over the wicket to a right-hander. But seeing that Mitchell Stark's not in the side, he's not creating that rough outside the right-handers off stump with Mitchell Stark's bowling left arm over the wicket. So that usually helps Lyon. So that's why we saw that tactic from Nathan Lyon yesterday. Lyon into Patel. This one beats him again past his outside edge for no run. Good over from Nathan Lyon. No runs conceded. It's a maiden. It's the end of the over. It's still 7 for 324. India still lead by 147 runs in the first innings. They'll be looking to press home their advantage. They've already done that, and you would think firm favourites to take a 1-0 lead in this series. But going back to your point there, Gian, I agree. If Stark's fit, he comes in for Boland. Renshaw, if he's not fit, Green's fit, he comes in for Renshaw. John says, happy that Murphy got a fifer, but the tactic of bowling over the wicket was pretty negative. Line looked pretty innocuous. Cummins was bowling too much on the pads, missing head for some firepower. Yes, that's pretty much true. A lot of people are not happy about Travis Head not being selected. But I think at the end of the day, with the Travis Head scenario. I think stats do tell a story about a player, but not much the full story. I think you need to have a bit of common sense, cricketing common sense. He's in form. He's done pretty well. Yes, his record in the subcontinent's not great. He's not a great starter against spin, but he can definitely win games. And if he was playing in the first test here, first innings, Australia would have got a score of over 200 or so in the first innings rather than 177 because he would have put the pressure back on. That's Travis Head's role in the side. But to me, it feels like, right, okay, how's Travis Head going to get better? If you want him to play in all conditions around the world, he's better off playing than not playing. How are you going to get better as a player if you're not playing in these conditions? Probably they based it off what he was doing in the nets, and he probably didn't look convincing. But, the nets are the nets. He's got to do it out in the middle, and that's the real test. So I think the selectors, yes, they probably got it wrong. And, they'll make mistakes, selectors, as Tom Murphy comes into the attack. Pat Cummins just bowled the one over, and he said, rightio, over to you, Todd. See if you can wrap up the innings and get a seventh or something like that. He's really bowled well, Todd Murphy. Really impressed with how he's bowled. So, yeah, it's the way it is. Australia, they can't get carried away with the analytics and the numbers. It doesn't matter if you're right or left-hander. The Indian spinners are going to get both of them out. We saw that in the first innings. They got most of the right-handers out, most of the left-handers out. It's just how you negate that as a batsman. That is the key. Murphy in, first ball of the day for him to Jadeja. This one down leg side, and Jadeja defends it to mid-wicket for no run. Stephen says, don't need to chuck it, just straight a wrist and angle it 5 p.m. to 11 a.m., but need front-on push action. Can't do it orthodox because you are going 7 p.m. to 1 o'clock angle and pivot to flight and roll. Yes. Another dot ball there. And dot ball again from Jadeja. The pitch looks pretty much the same as it was yesterday. Not much rough, but it will turn and turn, as we know. Line in, this one. Sorry, Murphy in. Defended on the front foot from Jadeja. Works it way out to point the ball. The point fielder fields it, and there's no run. India lead by 147. They're in a firm position in this match. But still plenty to gain for Australia, especially in their second innings. Something for the batsmen to work towards. Murphy in, this one. Outside off stump and well left by Jadeja. Straight through to Carey. No run. Yes, but you got to have the certain bowlers to bowl it as well with the Doosra. And obviously Murali, I know he was controversial, of course, but he was the only one who could really bowl it. No one else could really bowl it. For some bowlers, it's like if you're chucking it, you have to bend your arm to bowl the Doosra. Murali was just, his ability to bowl it. That's why he was able to do it, the only bowler in world cricket to do it. And some other bowlers as well. So, yes, but variations and changing your plans in India is definitely the key for spinners, especially from Australia that coming over to the subcontinent. This one pushed through cover from Jadeja for an easy single. And that is the end of the over. End of the over. It's 7 for 325. India lead by 148. Tough work for the Australian bowlers. But you can't fault their effort. They keep pounding in over after over, trying to get wickets. And we've seen from the Australians that once they got a couple of wickets in a session, they haven't been able to add on to that. Wickets haven't fallen in clumps for the Australian bowlers. And for the Indian bowlers, wickets did fall in clumps because they were able to get those wickets when needed. But the Australian bowlers at the moment not really getting wickets in clumps, which is the concern for them. No doubt for this first test as Nathan Lyon continues. Stephen says, computer says, Green and Head are better. Players have spin the Renshaw and Hanscom. Here we go, Nathan Lyon in to Jadeja. This one defended nicely by Jadeja on the front foot for no run. John says exactly. Lose the spreadsheet and pick your best 11. Japelli knows. Yes, it's just common sense. Pick your best batsman, your keeper, and your best bowlers to take 20 wickets. It's not really that hard to do. As line in to Jadeja, I should say. This one angled down leg side. Jadeja was able to get a bit of bat on that and work it onto the leg side for a single. And he's batted really well, Jadeja. A very handy player. Good bowler, good fielder, and also a very handy batsman. Axar Patel on strike. To line. Line in to Patel. This one outside off stump. Patel cuts this ball in front of square on the offside to deep point. And he'll pick up an easy single. John says Hanscom just looked like was protecting his wicket. He could have taken the fight back to India, but didn't, as the lead crosses 150 for India. Line in to Jadeja. Defends on the front foot. The ball works its way out to short third man. For no run. John says, once our top four were out, there was nothing left. Plus, we had a long tail this match. Yes, it doesn't help if Cameron Green's not in the side. He does provide that balance with both bat and ball. Line in to Jadeja. This one spun well outside off stump. Jadeja did well to get some bat on that. He was able to work it down to ground, out to deep point for a single. Bit of turn for Nathan Lyon. That one just spinning outside off stump. Sharp turn. Not a surprise on this wicket because it will start to play tricks and deteriorate as this match progresses. Line in, last ball of the over. This one beats Axar Patel past his outside edge for no run. It's the end of the over. 7 for 328. For 118 overs, India lead by 151 runs. The lead is growing steadily. And India looking to press home their advantage. But Australia, what can they do? Take these last 3 wickets, be positive with the bat. Nothing to lose in this situation. Most teams would often just roll over and that'll be the end of that. The match will finish in a quick conclusion. But for Australia, got to remain positive, upbeat. Yeah, it's a bit of a setback, but you can always come back. Murphy in again. This time to Jadeja, who leaves outside the off stump. A tight leave, but a good leave. Straight through to Carey for no run. Really impressed with Todd. I hope he gets a 6-fer or a 7-fer. He definitely deserves that on debut. Joins a long list of Australian players to get a 5-fer on test debut as a bowler. And he's bowled really well, Todd Murphy. In his 38th over now, 5 for 83. He's in again to Jadeja. And Bolden knocked him over. One that spun back into Jadeja. It's a 6-wicket haul for Todd Murphy. And Jadeja left it. Oh, that was a bad leave. It knocked over his stumps. The timber has been disturbed. The death rattle is not a good sign for any batsman when you hear that. But Todd Murphy, good delivery. This one outside off stumps, spinning back into the left-hander of Jadeja. Just hitting the top of that off stump. As we say, hit the top of off stump. Todd Murphy did that. Jadeja thought, I might as well leave that, and that's not going to turn, but it did. There's 2 types of leaves in cricket, a good and a bad leave, and that was a bad leave from Jadeja. He's gone for a good innings of 70, I should say. And it's 8 for 328. Good work from Todd Murphy. He's really bowled well. He's been the positive for Australia in this test match. He deserves every bit of his 6 wickets. And no doubt he's going to be featuring predominantly in the Australian test team. No wonder Nathan Lyon said he's the heir apparent to me. And he's going to take over the mantle. No doubt about that. This kid can bowl. Really impressed. I like his attitude. He's positive. He hasn't seemed flustered, which many players on test debut, they would seem a bit nervous and flustered. But Todd Murphy's grabbed this with both hands, and this has been good stuff from Murphy. He can finish off the innings here. Mohammad Shami, not bad with the bat. He's got a test 50, but I don't think he'll be sticking around for much longer. Same with him and Siraj in terms of facing the Australian bowlers. But, anyway, he's got a couple of 50s, Mohammad Shami. He's averaging 11 in Test cricket, so that's not bad for a number 10. But he'll be tested here with Todd Murphy, who's bowling really well, getting this ball to turn, and great to see a youngster really do well on Test debut. And Todd Murphy couldn't believe that he got 5 wickets on debut, but it's not a dream, Todd. It's a reality. And at least he's having fun and he's enjoying it, which is the main thing. We can be a bit serious about cricket when we play it, but more importantly, you've got to have fun. And that's what he's doing. He's enjoying every minute of this. All right, Mohammad Shami on strike to Murphy. And Todd Murphy would be hoping to get an 8 for here if he can. Pick up the last 2 wickets. That's not bad. 8 wickets. Join Jason Frazier, who got 8 wickets at this ground on debut. He bowls to Shami. This one defended out to mid off for no run from Shami. Stephen says, you can't chop and change players for no reason. Hanscom and Renshaw wanted to play safe because they want to retain their spot. Why take a risk? $1 million Cricket Australia contract if you're in the top 25. Murphy into Shami. This one drilled back to Todd Murphy from Shami. Ricochets off Todd Murphy. But in the end, there is no run. Just have a look at that delivery. Good delivery from Murphy. One that just came back in, spun back in to hit the top of off stump from Jadeja. He hoped that was not going to turn. That's why he left it. But in the end, it did turn. And a misjudgment from Jadeja. But nonetheless, he should be happy with his innings. 70s, not bad. He's taken a fifer as well. Murphy into Shami. This one spins back in sharply. Catches Shami on the body, but falls to ground for a dot ball. Got his gloves out of the way of that Shami, which is the key. You don't want to have bat pad in the game. Murphy in to Shami. This one defended on the back foot from Shami comfortably. Good over from Australia. Good over from Murphy. Got the wicket. First wicket of the day. India are 8 for 328. It was a maiden over from Murphy. And Australia picking up the first breakthrough of the morning. It's a very good-looking Indian batting card. Rohit Sharma led the front, 120. A couple of 50s from Jadeja, 70. And Axar Patel, 55, currently not out. And he'll be hoping to add a few more runs with Shami and Siraj, potentially. So Nathan Lyon will continue. Stephen says selectors were indulgent in wanting to be seen, being proactive. John says, hope Todd gets a hat-trick. Stephen says, Todd the GOAT. Well, I wouldn't call him the greatest of all time yet, but he can certainly be the greatest of all time, that's for sure. Line in to Shami. This one outside off stump, and Shami works it away nicely behind square on the offside, down to deep backward point for a single. Matthew Renshaw doing the fielding there. Had a bit of an injury in the warm-up yesterday with his knee, so an indication if he's on the field, he is okay to field and hopefully bat for Australia in the second innings. Lead now 152 for India. Australia would like to wrap up these 2 wickets quickly. Line into Shami. This one's spinning back from outside off stump, and Shami does well to get it past short fine leg for a couple of runs. Good fielding from Renshaw. He had to come around from deep backward point or deep backward square leg to cut that off. He cuts it off for a couple of runs. Stephen says need to take him to England. Line been poor past couple of years. I'm guessing that's in England, and Nathan Lyon's record in England's probably not his strongest, as it is at home, obviously. John says, greatest of all Todds. That's for sure. Line in for his third ball. And he bowls to Shami. This one outside off stump. And Shami gets a bit of a top edge, which races down to the third man boundary for his first boundary of his innings. He moves on to 6. Lead now 158 for India. John says that's what both spinners should be doing, over the wicket to a right hand. Yes, John. It's something that I said before. Without Mitchell Starc in the side, Nathan Lyon loves Mitchell Starc bowling left arm over the wicket, obviously, because he's creating that rough outside the right-handers off stump. So that's why Nathan Lyon has been bowling predominantly around the wicket because of that. So, Mitchell Starc, he adds so many dimensions to the Australian team. He can bowl fast, quick, left arm. He can swing it both ways, but he also creates that rough for Nathan Lyon. Line into Shami. This one traps him on the pad. There's an appeal for LBW. Australia got 2 reviews left. Pat Cummins has gone upstairs again. He said, yep, let's see if this is out. Trapped him on the back pad there. Whether or not it was outside the line or not. Being an umpire myself, I would probably given that not out myself. Probably outside the line, maybe a bit of bat involved. We shall see when the replay comes. Have a look at the replay now. Let's have a look. Spinning back in. Ooh, yes. Well, he definitely hasn't hit it. He's hit his back pad. It looks like it's pitched in line with the stumps. Definitely the impact's in line with off stump, I would feel. And you would think that this could be hitting the stumps or turning too much on that angle from line from around the over the wicket. No, just outside the line, yep, for impact. Yep, I thought so. Looked like it pitched in line, but definitely pitched. The impact was outside the off stumps. A good decision by Richard Illingworth, and Australia lose a review, but you might as well go for it in this situation of the match. And good decision there by Richard Illingworth. Nathan Lyon frustrated with that. But anyway, just got to turn back, go to the top of your mark, and try and focus on this ball and try and get this wicket. And forget about what's happened before with that LBW appeal that was turned down. But the right decision at the end of the day. Line in to Shami, who defends on the front foot, looking for a quick single, but Shami has been denied that by Patel. He said, no, we don't want to run out. It's a dot ball to finish. It's the end of the over. It's 8 for 335. 8 for 335. India lead by 158. Runs can be scored on this surface. I think Australia will take some solace from that. If you apply yourself on this surface, you can score some runs. It's not any means the pitch has not really misbehaved all that much as we expected. And especially the Indian left-handers in Patel and Jadeja, they've been comfortable. They haven't really been troubled, except for Jadeja just leaving that ball, and so, or just leaving that ball, that cannon into his off stump. Stephen says is green fit for the next match. He's progressing well. The recovery is good. I think the medical staff are quite surprised at the rate he's recovering at. I don't think he's quite ready to bowl yet, but if he does play, he could be as a batter only. As Murphy bowls to Patel. This one defended to cover for no run. So most likely, if Green is fit, most likely will play as a specialist batsman. I don't think he's quite ready to bowl yet. But he is progressing well. He is taking some good strides, and Australia are confident that Mitchell Starc will return for that second test, and also Cameron Green as well. So there'll be very valuable inclusions for the Australian team. Depends on conditions. The next test will be at the Fesha Kotla, which is in Delhi. It's no longer called the Fesha Kotla. It's called the Arun Jaitley Stadium now. They renamed it. And as Murphy bowls to Patel, this one guided nicely to deep cover for a single for Patel. And he's batting comfortably at the moment. 57 he's on now. I hope that's answered your question, Stephen, but I'm no medical expert. That it will be up to the medical team to decide that if Cameron Green is fit or not. He was a bit well, he was ruled out for this first test. There was some talk that he would play this first test, but he wasn't quite 100%. So they decided not to take the risk, which is understandable, as Murphy bowls to Shami. This one turning in sharply into Shami, onto his pads, and there's no run. Tom Murphy, opportunity for him to get 8 for. Hopefully he can get the last 2 wickets to achieve that. Murphy in to Shami. This one defended. Oh, nearly went back onto the stumps from Shami. He defended it, and the ball bounced behind him, nearly cannon into the off stump. Gets away with it. Dot ball. Just have a look at this. Shami defending, yeah. High on the bat, bounces underneath the bat, nearly got bowled, nearly chopped it on. Murphy in, Shami defends. This next delivery to the leg side for no run. Cindy over, pretty good over from Murphy. It's 8 for 336. After 121 overs, India lead by 159. John says Green might play, but not be able to bowl. Not sure. Yeah, I think it's a little bit touch and go with his bowling, but he's progressing well, and he's making some good progress, which is good. Obviously, Cameron Green, very exciting young talent, that's for sure. Nathan Lyon in to Patel, and this one, Patel whips it, well, works it onto the offside, and deep cover will cut it off for a single. Australia, they'll be hoping to wrap up this innings quickly, but India will be pleased with their position at the moment. 159 is a good lead to have in the first innings. That's what they're having. Having earned that position, obviously, when you're in this sort of position, India will, it's been a very tough work for India. They had to earn this position. Australia yesterday kept them quiet at times, bowling tidy overs, not really giving much away. But they're in a good position. Line into Shami. This one's spinning back into Shami's pads. He works it onto the leg side to mid wicket. Artis Labuschagne does the fielding, and there's no run. No, don't want to take on Labuschagne. Well noted for his runouts in the field. Line in to Shami. This one defended by Shami. Back down the pitch for no run. India 8 for 337. They lead by 160. They're 30 runs away from a 200-run lead. They would like to get that, but they've got 2 wickets in hand. Australia would like to wrap it up. Line into Shami, who hoiks Nathan Lyon onto the leg side. Will he be caught? He will be caught. Or dropped. It was a drop catch from Scott Boland. Out there in the deep on the leg side. Nathan Lyon can't believe it. That was a straightforward catch. We've seen some drop catches from Australia. And once you start to drop one, it does spread quickly within the team. That one tossed outside off stump. Shami went for the big shot over to the leg side, over the rope. Scott Boland in a perfect position. Fingers pointing up to the sky, and then the ball just goes through his hands onto the ground. He throws it back. Disappointed with that. Anyway, they get a single from that drop catch. Shami moves on to 7. Well, when it's not going your way, it's not going your way. And it's been the case for Australia. Line into Patel, who works it straight to the fielder at cover for no run. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You don't like to drop a catch. No one means to drop a catch. We've all been there. We've played the game. It's not a nice feeling. Line in to Patel, who drives this straight back down the ground to Scott Boland at wide long off. for no run. For a single, I should say. And it's the end of the over as well. It's the end of the over. It's 8 for 339. Thanks for joining us, everyone, for this first session of this first test match between India and Australia. Definitely a tough test match for Australia, but look, you just got to keep fighting. You just got to keep turning up. You can't just give up. And when Australia, their turn to bat, you can learn a lot from the Indian batsmen because runs are possible on this pitch. You've got to think about that. We haven't seen the pitch really misbehave all that often, not since the first day. As Todd Murphy into the attack to Patel, and Patel defends for no run. Stephen says maybe Jihan could check the x-rays and advise. Well, yes, he is a doctor. He could advise us on that. Murphy in to Patel. This one spinning past Patel's outside edge. In the end, he lets it go straight through to the keeper for no run. Another dot ball. Murphy's really bowled well. And I've run out of superlatives to describe Todd Murphy, but this is the second time I've seen him bowl live, and he's really impressed me. Murphy into Patel, gets a bit of an inside edge on this. He was looking to drive through the offside. In the end, it goes through to mid-wicket for a single. Saran, thanks for joining us. You say Shami is defending decent. No need to hit like that. Well, likes to play his shots, Mohammad Shami. And look, it doesn't really matter if India get bowled out at this stage. They're in a good position, 163. They lead by. So it's plenty of runs, really. But, you can play your shots and probably he's going to play his natural way. But, that's what tailenders do. They tend to play their natural game. This one defended on the front foot from Shami for no run. John says, thought it was Jihan's brother who is the doctor. I'm not sure about that, John. I think we have to ask Jihan that if he's in the chat. Not sure about that. Murphy in to Shami, beats him. Past his outside edge. Good take from Carey. Todd Murphy, that ball spinning back into the right-hander, past his outside edge. Looking threatening, Todd Murphy. I think he's been the most threatening of the Australian bowlers. He's in to Shami. This one's spinning back into Shami. Shami able to get bat on this, defends to mid-wicket. And that is the end of the over. Tidy over from Murphy, just the one run from it, I should say. It's 8 for 340. India lead by 163. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, everyone, for commenting and liking and sharing and subscribing to the channel, of course. Really appreciate it. I'm grateful that so many people like what I'm doing, and that's always a great motivator to keep doing what I've been doing. So thanks, everyone, for the support. As Saran says, Carey keeping well, not easy in these conditions. Yes, he has been keeping well. That catch yesterday off Virat Kohli, fumbled it a bit, a couple of times, but he was able to catch it off Todd Murphy's bowling. So he's done pretty well, Carey, behind the stumps. He batted well in the first innings as well. I think he showed good intent, something that the Australian other batsmen can learn from. Got to be positive against India in terms of their spinners as Lions into Patel. This one defended to silly point. And there's no run. Axel Patel's looked pretty comfortable. He's batted well, 360. Good contribution for him. Line in to Patel. This one defended again out to point. There's no run. Saran says Smith dropped how many? 3? I think he has. I think he dropped one in the last over yesterday off Jadeja. That slip. And yes, did hear about Steve Smith. Doesn't drop many, as this one defended again by Patel off line for no run. Yeah, he's. I think it's important for Smith to get out of the slips because he's been in there all day, and it's important for him just to run around to the outfield and just get out of it for a bit and then come back. When you're fielding the slips, that one defended again by Patel to cover for no run. When you're in the slips for a long period of time, all day, to the quicks and to the spinners, you kind of get a bit tired and fatigued. So I think put someone else in there for a while and let Steve Smith run around to the outfield and just get out of the slips for a while. Come back in, hopefully refreshed, and hopefully he can hang on to a catch. But yeah, it's not like Steve Smith dropped too many catches. Line into Patel. This one beats Patel past his outside edge, looking to cut that. In the end, didn't quite connect. Good take from Carey again. Oh, sorry. In the end, Carey didn't take that cleanly. That just bounced off his gloves. But nonetheless, Nathan Lyon looking to get this ninth wicket, looking to wrap it up for Australia. India lead by 163. India 8 for 340. Here we go. Lyon, last ball of his over. He's in to Axar Patel. This one down the leg side and nearly bowled Axar Patel around his legs. In the end, no damage done. He survives. It's the end of the over. It's 8 for 340. A maiden over from Nathan Lyon. Party over. Very happy if you bowl a maiden over as a spinner or any bowler. But Stephen, well, I did hear that. They were talking about that before the broadcast on Fox when I was listening to that. They did talk about that, being fatigued and tired for long periods of time in the slips. But at this level, as a professional, you should be able to catch those that slip. And Steve Smith's a very good player. So, but for Smith, obviously being in the slips for a long time, you've got to be switched on every ball, and you've got to be ready for that moment when that edge comes, and you've got to be ready. And unfortunately for Steve Smith, it's not been his greatest match behind in the slip cordon. Well, even Scott Boland, there's no excuse for Scott Boland dropping that simple catch either. That was an absolute sitter. So, I'm just stating some other factors in place, but it's not like, you don't mean to drop a catch. It happens. It just happens, and you got to try and catch the next one. We're all humans. We're not robots. They're going to catch every ball. You are going to drop one, and, when it's not going your way, it's not going your way. So, and it's not going Australia's way at the moment. So be it. Move on and try and catch the next one. Saran says, what do you think about Travis Head's omission? Well, that's been talked about a lot. I was, like everyone, quite surprised, actually. His record in the subcontinent's not great, but you got to back someone. You got to back him in. Travis Head is a very good player. And I've seen it for many years for South Australia and Shield cricket. He's got the talent. If he's going to get better in these conditions, he's got to play. You just can't go, based it off, his record and stats, and he's a left-hander, and India have good record against left-handers and, especially their spinners. He's definitely a point of difference for Australia. He would have been handy in the first innings to counter-attack. If he got out for a golden duck, let's just say that in a hypothetical sense, we would have been saying, why is he in the side anyway? Because he got out for a golden duck. So, it's that sort of thing, really. But as a selector, at the end of the day, you've got to keep it simple. have cricketing common sense and pick your best 11. It's something that Ian Chappell has harped on about. Obviously, he's a bit old school, but he's right. You got to pick the best 11. You got to pick the best 6 batsmen plus your keeper and plus the bowlers to take you 20 wickets to win a test match. And you got to do that. And unfortunately for Australia, they haven't quite done that in this test match. And also they haven't picked Ashton Agar or Mitchell Swepson because they don't have faith in Swepson or Ashton Agar. They definitely don't have faith in Ashton Agar because the way he bowled in Sydney, because he didn't really quite bowl consistent. And, you know, in India, you need to do that as a spinner. You need to keep it tight. You can't leak runs. You've got to build pressure. And for Ashton Agar, he's bowling more like a T20 bowler than a test bowler at the moment. And that's given his lack of experience, especially not playing a lot of first-class cricket, which is hurting Ashton Agar in his chances of coming back into this side. But I hope that's answered your question there, Saran. But I'm definitely not happy. Gabe, hello, Gabe. Thanks for joining us. You say Murphy with 6-wicket haul, only silver lining. Yeah, he is. He's bowled really well, Gabe. Very impressive debut, and hopefully many more for him. Hopefully, and he's bowled really well. He's looked more threatening than Nathan Lyon, but I'm really impressed with how he's approached his performance and his debut, because he's definitely a very good off spinner. We know that he hasn't played a lot of first class cricket. He hasn't played a lot of cricket for Victoria, but in his short career, gets the opportunity and he's taken it. And it's going to be interesting to see what Australia do for the next test. Do they drop him or do they keep him in the side? I don't think they should drop him. He's bowling really well as he bowls to Shami. This one defended on the front foot for no run. It was the end of the over. It's 8 for 342. India lead by 165 runs, 8 for 342. And it'll be tough work for Australia, but something to gain, I suppose. Murphy in. This one's spinning back into Shami. And he hits it straight to short leg for no run. But thanks for commenting, Gabe. And good to see you tuning in, as always. And as an Australian supporter yourself, not a great first test, but there's still 3 test matches to go. It's not the end of the series by any means of the imagination. Murphy in, Shami, and hits him, dispatches him over the deep square leg boundary for 6. Not a bad way to finish off the over from Mohammad Shami. A 6 to finish. End of the over, it's 8 for 348. India lead by 171 runs. Their position in this match is tightening their grip on this match. And Australia just hoping to wrap up this inning so they can just wrap up this innings quickly. Get these last 2 wickets. Stephen says, is this happening because Langer not there to demand 50 push-ups after drop catch? I wouldn't say that. Look, it comes down to the players at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they're the ones who are out there playing, and it's not up to the coach to be out there and, do all that stuff. So, look, at the end of the day, I think yes, you're frustrated as a bowler when you drop a catch, but it's important to keep your emotions in check because, for some bowlers, they have a catch being dropped. They're frustrated. They, have a bit of a go at the fielder. That's not the right way to go about it. People make mistakes. People drop catches in cricket. It's a part of the game. It's natural. And to me, you lose a little bit of respect from your teammates when you do that. So it's not ideal. It just comes down to being switched on at that time. And that's the thing about Steve Smith in this test match. He hasn't been switched on because he's been out there. Australia have been out there for over 120 odd overs. He's been in the slips. So you just need someone else to go in the slips and just let Steve Smith run around in the outfield or, field and other positions, give someone else a go, just to change it up a bit, just to give him a bit of a break. And that's what's happened. And that's what they've talked about before the game started today. They talked about that. They talked about Smith and his problems in the slips in this match. It's not ideal. You expect him to catch those catches 100, probably 99 times out of 100. You're going to drop the odd one, but he's a good fielder. He'll work hard on that, and you just got to work hard and be better at it. Let the coach, throw you some balls so you can catch, and just practice that skill. It's about doing it over and over again. Not ideal, but no one means to drop a catch. It's just the way it goes. And you just got to put it behind you and try and catch the next one that comes your way. Nathan Lyon into Shami. This one's spinning back into Shami. Defends to mid-wicket for no run. So, yeah, anyway, with the Justin Langer thing, he was a tough coach. He was a disciplinarian. But at the end of the day, he's not there. So, I think, we should really move on from the Langer situation. It's already happened. He's not there. He's not part of the team anymore. So we should move on from that. This one defended again from Shami for no run. He has to say, Stephen, well, Carey, not a great player of spin, and he's a left-hander. He was our best batter. He's in form. He is Alex Carey. And he's done pretty well. I've been impressed with Alex Carey. This one defended, and there is no run. It's the end of the over, 8 for 349. Now, for some reason, on the stream that I'm watching, apparently the English commentary is not up at the moment. Now it's back, sorry. For a moment there, it was either in Hindi. For a moment there, I think they had a technical problem. So we're back now to the English commentary there, the English broadcast. So we're all set to go for this next over from Todd Murphy. Nearly closing in on 7 wickets. But going back to Alex Carey, yes, he definitely showed the way for Australia in the first innings. He was positive, he was aggressive, he was looking to score runs, played the reverse sweep, paddle, any sweep under the textbook. And I'm not surprised by that by Alex Carey, but I'm a bit biased being from South Australia. It's good to see him, really starting to believe in his own abilities. You need confidence. And I think scoring that 100 in Melbourne against South Africa will really boost his confidence. He's improving as a keeper. In this test match, he had a few fumbles, but that fumble catch of Curley was good just to catch that on the rebound as Murphy bowls to Patel, who defends to mid-on for no run. He's definitely working hard, so it's good to see Carey really work hard and hopefully be the best possible player he can be, because that's all you can ask for, is to keep getting better in this game. Murphy into Patel, defends again on the front foot for no run. Saran, you say, it never makes sense to me to drop someone who was in form. India dropping Gill and Australia dropping Head. How else do you make your case other than being in form as a player? That's true. This one defended again by Patel for no run. Stephen says, Agar's first-class record not great. No, it's not. He hasn't played much, and that's probably going against him, actually. But Australia don't have any other spinners coming through as Murphy bowls to Patel. This one defended again on the front foot from Patel to mid-off, where Pat Cummins does the fielding. Gabe says 10 maidens, no way he gets dropped. No, he doesn't. And he's also got a 5-run debut as well, Gabe. So very hard to drop him. Murphy into Patel. This one, an appeal for caught behind. The ball did balloon up in the air. In the end, Alex Carey took the catch. Steve Smith was confident behind the stumps. He appealed. That's the important thing to do in cricket. You've got to appeal. The old saying goes, you don't ask, you don't get. You've got to appeal. Australia have appealed for a caught behind. And they've got one review remaining. Now they've gone upstairs, and let's see if this catched a bit of the edge from Axar Patel's bat. Well, it probably did turn sharply, you would think. Probably just putting that doubt in the umpire's mind, probably turned off the pitch, deviation off the pitch, and probably missed the edge altogether. Let's have a look on the replays. Tossed outside off stump from Murphy. Now then, yes, the ball's close to the bat. Now, the thing here could be Axar Patel probably hit the ground. Let's have a look. Oh, well, it looks like the bat's hit the ground, which can often happen. You can often hear that as an umpire. Being an umpire myself, that's one of the things you look at, especially if the bat's close to the ground. Okay, probably bat hitting the ground, making the noise. And on this occasion, that's what's happened. As the ball passes the edge of the bat, ultra edge is a flat line, and the toe end of the bat's just scraping the ground there. So that's where the noise came from. In the end, it will be a good decision by umpire Niton Menon, who's standing in this test match, and he will be asked to remain with his decision of not out. As he signals that, Australia have lost all their reviews. That's understandable. Gabe says, what's up, everyone? Just got out of my school's dance. Yeah, that's good to hear, Gabe. And good to see you in the chat as always. As Murphy into Patel, this one defended again by Patel, comfortably on the back foot for no run. Stephen says we could have had used slugger Gabe in the squad yesterday. The Australian selection works. He's got an equal chance with Cameron Green. That's the end of the over. It's a maiden from Murphy. It's 8 for 349. Lead is still 172 for India. They're in a very dominant position. Australia, work to do if they are going to make something happen in this test match. But we shall see. Nathan Lyon in to Shami. He's on 14. This one, big Shami past his outside edge. Looking to cut that, but in the end, misses it, and there's no run. Good take from Alex Carey. Nathan Lyon. That one did turn. Line in to Shami. This one high in the air, past mid-wicket. And it goes down to long on for a single. And Scott Boland does the fielding. He moves on to 15. Shami. Looking comfortable. So runs can be scored on this pitch. And the 350 up for Australia, but for India. But runs can be scored on this surface if you apply yourself. India have certainly done that. Line into Patel. This one worked off his pads to mid on. Pat Cummins does the fielding. And another single onto the Indian turtle. Hello, Raj. Good to see you. I hope you're well. John says, bring back Chappelli. Well, I think he's long retired, but he's a straightforward person. He tells it how it is. Ian Chappell, which is just his nature, and I suppose it's just the nature of him as a player as well. Raj's Kerry is going to be so much better than people have thought of him so far. Yes, he's done really well in this test match thus far. With bat and with the gloves. Line into Shami. This one defended on the back foot for no run by Shami. Saran says, why they got rid of hotspot for edge reviews. That's a pretty good question, Saran. I've got the answer to that after this ball. from Lyon into Shami. This one spins back in sharply to Shami, but he works it around the corner down to fine leg for another single. The reason they've got rid of the hotspot in terms of that, it comes down to a number of factors. Number one, it costs a lot of money for broadcasters. Now with DRS, it's up to the broadcasters that have to fund the technology of Hawkeye or Eagle Eye and Hotspot and Ultra Edge. It's not up to the ICC to do that. So it is expensive technology. Hotspot is expensive. And that's the end of the over. Dot ball to finish. And it's going to be drinks for the players as the umpire signal. It's time for drinks. And the over 352 for 8. Lead for India is growing by the over. So the reason they got rid of that is because of money. It comes down to money. And for Hotspot, it is a technology that has to, it's an infrared technology. So you got to ask for permission because certain countries around the world, they won't allow you to have that sort of technology. So you got to ask permission from the government or anyone to use it. Now here in Australia, we do use Hotspot because we have those funds and money from the broadcasters, but also we have that permission from people higher up to use it. So it comes down to those factors, really. Around the world, they just use Ultra Edge, which is good enough. But Hotspot, it does allow you to, get a decisive decision. But sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't really provide conclusive evidence at times. But I hope that's answered your question, Sarah. That's the reason why Hotspot is not used in some countries. I heard that from Simon Taufel. He was explaining that once, former ICC elite national umpire himself. He explained that. I heard it from him somewhere. So those are the main reasons why they don't use it. For the DRS in some countries. But here in Australia, we do use it. But in other countries, it looks like Australia is the only country that uses it, really, because it just comes down to money. And the ICC are not funding DRS as well. But you've got to have some fallback as well. That's why you have Hotspot, you have RTS, real-time snicker, so you can have conclusive evidence whether or not the bat definitely hit the bat or not, whether the ball hit the bat. But anyway, that's the way it is in all countries around the world. John says, no, they're getting desperate for a wicket. Waste of review. Yeah, pretty much. Rohit says, India have 3 spinners you can bat. That's brilliant. Yes, they can, and they're all pretty good. They're definitely better than tailenders, that's for sure. Raj says, what would be a good score for Australia to set a good enough target with Indian lead around about 200? Well, Raj, well, first of all, Australia need to pick up the last 2 wickets. So they need to pick up the last 2 wickets. And the lead is 170 odd, which is, plenty for India. So the consideration that you've got to take into consideration is, well, first of all, Australia have to bat and make up the runs that have been conceded on the first innings. So that is difficult. For Australia, the chances of them doing anything to try and win this match are slim now, given the position India find themselves. So I really see Australia struggling here, Raj, but I like the optimistic approach. But look, the lead's 175. They have to make up those runs, and then you never know from there. But for Australia, realistically for them, right now, it's about trying to get something out of this test match. The odds of them are winning are slim. The odds of India are winning are very likely to happen. And the odds of a draw, well, that's probably not going to happen. So it's either India win, Australia lose, or vice versa. But for Australia, it's not so much looking at the scoreboard. It's not really focusing on that. You can't really focus on that. So for Australia, when they go out to bat in their second innings, just go out there and bat. Bat as long as you can. Learn from your mistakes from the first innings. There's still plenty to gain in the second innings. Even though it's a lost cause, you've got to be positive, upbeat still, and still learn a lot from what you're going to do in the second innings with the bat and take that into the second test of the series, which is in Delhi in a few days' time. So that's what you got to do. And for Australia, realistically, that's what they got to do. They got to try and take something out of this match. Todd Murphy in, first over after drinks, and this one's defended by Shami for a dot ball. He looks pretty comfortable. 16 off 30 balls he's got. Yes, so Raj, hot spots are also not as reliable. The heat spots generate with friction. Many a times, air friction might catch a spot where the bat never contacted the ball. That's true, yes. It's very true. Or when the bat contacts the ball, the spot doesn't get generated either. Having fault on both sides, it gets tricky. Murphy into Shami. This one high and long into the air, but it falls short of David Warner at wide long on for a single. Mohammad Shami playing his shots. He's looking to get on with it. And he can afford to do that with India in a very strong position. Saran says, yes, KL Rahul definitely getting out if India bats again. Murphy in to Patel. This one flighted outside off stump and outside edge beats short third man for 4. Diving across to his right. He couldn't get there in time. Matt Renshaw there. And in the end, races away for a boundary. And Axel Patel picking up these runs at a good rate. 4 runs for him. And the lead increasing with every run India score. Todd Murphy. Can he get a 8-wicket haul? I hope he does. Murphy in. This one wide outside off stump. Axel Patel able to open the face of the bat and glide it to deep point where Khawaja does the fielding for a single. The Dark Knight says, I think Australia's batters have to play attacking cricket in their second innings if they want to put good target on the board for India to chase. Yes, I think they've got to be positive and just go out there and bat. I think don't worry about how many runs we're behind. Once you get into that mindset, you can often, think too far ahead, and that can be the downfall. So I think for Australia, it's just about focusing on playing the ball on its merits and just trying to get through over by over, ball by ball, session by session, and then whatever happens, and we'll take it from there. That's the end of the over. It's 8 for 358. India lost the 1 wicket today. That was Jadeja, got bowled by Nathan Lyon. He left the delivery, that cannon into the off stump. And he's the only wicket to fall today. He made 70-odd, well batted. He's had a pretty good test match, 5 wickets and 70 with the bat. Not bad. And if India go on to win the match, which you think they are most likely to do, he will probably be the player of the match. Very hard. Obviously, Rohit Sharma scored a century, but definitely Rohit Sharma could be a candidate for player of the match, but Jadeja definitely deserves it on return. Yes, Raj. Sorry about it. Yes, sorry. It was Todd Murphy. Sorry. Nathan Lyon was bowling the server, so that's why I saw his name, so that just popped into my mind. But no, yes, it was Todd Murphy, sorry. You got that wicket of Jadeja early today. to pick up his 6th wicket. Nathan Lyon still got 1 wicket, but he'll be hoping to get another here if he can. Line in to Patel over the wicket. And Patel gets it past short leg. Was it a chance? Did it fall to ground? They come through for a single. Raj says best way to get Shami out is pace. Just get bowling on. I think he could finish it off. Raj says positive to that. He can restrict Axer too. Saran says Shami scoring 50 anyone. He's looking comfortable. John says 130 overs versus 64 overs. Our bowlers will have sore fingers. Plus Cummins is bowling not so great at the moment, bowling poorly. But I think Australia just comes down to when you're not having tour matches and you're not preparing like you used to, it's often difficult to get used to these conditions and get accustomed to them. Shami gets a boundary off this delivery from Lyon, backs away onto leg stump, carves it through the covers for 4. That's another boundary for Mohammad Shami. He's looking good and increasing the lead with every run that India score here, putting them in a very stronger position. That one turned back into Shami, but he was able to back away onto leg stump, access the offside, and he was able to hit that in front of square on the leg, on the offside through the covers. Picks up a nice boundary. He's on to 21 now. As a line into Shami. This one tossed outside off stump. And Shami works it out to deep cover. Khawaja does the fielding. They'll pick up another single. Raj says, I'm all for Murphy. He is really good. I hope he doesn't get buried in Australia mentally. He's done okay in his short career in Australia, obviously. Bowl's a bit different than he is today, but yeah, it's often a hard place to bowl finger spin in Australia, off spin, really. Line in, beats Axar Patel, past his outside edge. Good take from Carey, there's no run. Yeah, John, it just hasn't been good bowling. But, yeah, that's the way it goes. You know, it's when it goes your way, it goes your way. When it doesn't, it doesn't. Line in to Patel. This one defended on the front foot again. And there's no run. End of the over. It's 8 for 364. Lead is increasing. Nearly 200 now for India. And they're in a very good position. And I think India will be batting as long as possible. Try and make sure the pitch does deteriorate to put them in the best possible position to take 10 wickets to win this match. And they'll be looking to only bat once. Australia, on the other hand, have a challenge when they come out in the second innings. But they can definitely take something out of this match. I don't think you should just give up. Yes, it's a difficult situation to be in, but there's still plenty to gain. And the series is not over. It's only the first test. If Australia do go on to lose this badly, hopefully they'll come back stronger in the next test. And obviously key players will make their case to come back into the 11 as well. Stark and Green and Josh Hazlewood may be a non-starter for that second test, but he may come back for the next 2 tests, 3rd and the 4th, as Tom Murphy continues. Lead is 187. And India still in their first innings as Murphy continues to Shami. This one spins back in sharply to Shami. And Shami was able to keep it to ground and work it to the fielder at short leg. Raj has been this young. He will get loads of opportunities, especially with the WTC cycle. Yes, he's only 22. At the end, in the air, just falling short. Nearly a caught and bowled for Murphy. Shami nearly chipped it straight back to him. That's how he got rid of KL Rahul on day 1 for his first wicket in Test cricket. Murphy, a caught and bowled. But in the end, just falling short. Saran says, so Shami is batting better than all those middle order batters who threw their wicket away. Well, it looks pretty comfortable. And he has scored a couple of 50s. I remember that innings he played at Lord's in that test match against England. He batted really well on that day, Shami. So he's more than capable of holding the willow. Murphy in. This one tossed outside our stump. Up and over the top from Shami. Over extra cover for 6. What a way to... Oh, sorry, it was Axel Patel. My mistake. I hit that for 6. It wasn't Shami. Good shot from... No, it was Shami. Sorry, I don't know why they have Axel Patel on strike. He's not on strike. It's Mohammad Shami. Bit of a mistake there on the ticker, on the scorecard. Excellent shot from Shami. Up and over the top, over extra cover for 6. Murphy in. Shami goes big again, this time onto the leg side, and it clears the deep mid-wicket boundary for another 6. Back-to-back maximums for Mohammad Shami. He's having some fun. In India, want to get a move on. Maybe there's a message. Probably they got the message at drinks. Probably put on the foot. Put the gas on the accelerator. We want to try and get over 200, then probably declare. Get out there and start bowling. Mohammad Shami, 2 maximums in a row. He's not done yet. Very good from him. There's 2 balls left in the over. 34 or 40 for Shami. Lead now, 199. Nearly 200 for India. And they'll be hoping to wrap it up. Australia. Murphy in. Changes his line of attack. He goes around the wicket to Shami, the right-hander. Into the pads, but Shami defends for no run. At least it wasn't a 6. John says have to keep a sense of humour when things don't go your way. Yeah, that's right. You've got to have a bit of a laugh. You know, got to be positive. Murphy in. Shami, top edge. High in the air. Will fall safe behind square. Down to the fine leg boundary. For a couple or a boundary there, I think. No, I think just a couple of runs. It's the end of the over. 8 for 378. India's lead is increasing. It's now 200 runs. And they're well in control of this test match. They've got plenty of runs as it is. But there's still plenty of time. It's only day 3, first session. Still plenty of time. India opening their shoulders a bit here. They want to get on with it. And look to put on as many runs as they can. Raj, as I understand, it's the first test, and they haven't had practice in India with red balls, and for some of them are tired, but losing the first test badly just breaks the spirit. It's not ideal, Raj, but look, you know, in cricket, many teams have to come back from setbacks. It's the same as a player. You know, if you're out of form with the bat or with the ball, you got to come back from the setbacks, and that's the 50 partnership between Patel and Shami for the 9th wicket. It's a handy late order partnership. The Indian tailenders certainly going to be batting better than the Australian tailenders. I believe in this series, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to Australia knocking over the Indian tail quickly because they can bat. All of them are capable, and we've seen that in this match. But look, you know, it's not ideal to be 1-0 down in the series, but it's still a 4-game series. It's not over. And look, the beauty of test match cricket, the beauty of cricket, is that you're going to have good and bad days. And Australia have had good and bad days, and it's how you come back from that. India will be the same. You know, India know that the job is not done yet. Yes, we won the first test, but still a lot of work to do. Australia will come back and they will fight. As Lyon continues to Axel Patel, who defends, and there's no run. Raj's close match loss is fine. It fires up and wants to do good, but big defeats in the first test is demoralizing. It can, but you just got to put that aside and move on and draw a line from it. As Patel defends again on the front foot to line. There's no run. Raj says, no, it's Shami. John says, Indian India has nothing to lose now. Time to open the shoulders. This one worked on to the leg side through square leg for a single from Patel. Raj says, I'm okay. I'm fine with this lead. Just go on full attack now. John says the late Indian order has been the difference. Yeah, I think it will come down to that in this series. The tail enders about piling on the runs. It's, very handy if the tail enders can do that. But Australia, the tail enders have been good in recent times, but in these conditions, they're going to struggle a little bit. So it's going to come down to Australia knocking over the tail quickly. They haven't done that in this test match. It's something to look out for the remainder of the series. Raj is a lower order batsman. We don't say tail ender to a half-century score at Lords. We batted well, Mohammad Shami, in that test. Pivotal innings, and India were able to go on and win a famous test victory at Lords. And that's where they won that test match against England. Nathan Lyon to Shami. Shami works it down the ground to long on for a single. Lead down 203. It's just a matter of time before India will declare or get bowled out. Line in to Patel. This one defended to cover, and there's no run. Line in to Patel. This one defended straight back from Patel to Lyon. There's no run. End of the over. It's 8 for 380. Pat Cummins looking not flustered as always. But inside he will be a little bit disappointed with how Australia have gone in this test match. The captain, but he'll be hoping that his team can show some fight. And he'll be very happy with Todd Murphy as he has a discussion with Todd about what field you want. Talking about the tactics. Todd Murphy looking to get an 8-wicket haul if he can. And that will be a very good first innings in Test cricket with the ball from Todd Murphy. Joins a long list of Australian bowlers in Test cricket to get a fifer on Test debut. And two of them are in this Australian team. Pat Cummins got a fifer on debut against South Africa in Johannesburg at the Wanderers, 2011. And Nathan Lyon got a fifer against Sri Lanka on debut in Gaul in that test match in 2011. And Todd Murphy, and also Scott Boland. You can forget him, 6 for 7 at the MCG in the Ashes. He's also the third member who's playing in this Australian side to get a 5-wicket haul on debut. Todd Murphy's joined that list. He bowls to Shami, who defends. There's no run. John says, I don't think they will, but if India declares, that will be demoralising for Australia. Yes, Shami in, defends. No run. Yes, India, it's up to them, really. They can declare whenever they want. They can bat as long as they want. They can get, ready to start bowling and until Australia bowls them out. They're hoping the pitch will break up more. That's why they're batting on for a long period of time. And you can't blame them for that. That's how you should approach it. Only look to bat once in this match. And that's the key to success in India, is to put on big first innings runs. Australia didn't do that. Murphy in to Shami. Top edge. He went for a big shot. Too many and taken by Kerry. 7 wickets on debut for Todd Murphy. He continues to impress. He's been the standout for Australia. Well bowled, young man. Nathan Lyon, applause. Well done, Todd Murphy. This has been a very spectacular debut for him. He went for the big shot, too many there, Shami. That caught the toe end of the bat. High in the air, Carey with the gloves takes a simple catch. The 9th wicket is down. The partnership is broken. Shami is gone. He has to walk back to the pavilion. He's gone for 37. It's 9 for 380. Raj says India would have declared if the lead was 300 or if it was day 4, second session. Raj says Boland got 2 at Melbourne. Everyone got 1. Raj says gone. Raj says, I was hoping for a 50, but that's fine. Raj says he is too hasty. Well, you expect that from Thailanders. They're going to have a rush of blood that goes through their head, and they're going to play one big shot too many. That's what you expect from Thailanders. But Mohammad Shami, he did the right thing. Take the game on, be positive. India, they're in a very good position. So why stay out there and prolong this for any length of time? But Australia, Todd Murphy, he's got the first 2 wickets of the day. He's got 7 for the innings. I think for him, this could be his best ever match figures in his career, I would think. But best figures on test debut for Australia, Albert Trott has got the best figures on debut, 8 for 43. That was in Adelaide against England in 1895, so before 1900. Obviously, a lot of people would remember Bob Massey's heroics, 1972 Ashes at Lords. He got 8 for 53 and 8 for 84. Jason Krejci at this ground in Nagpur got 8 for 215 and never played Test cricket again for Australia. I think he only played 1 Test after that and never played again. But Todd Murphy, he's on the bottom of that list, 7 for 113. So good to see Todd Murphy get rewarded for his hard work, and he's absolutely loving every minute. You can see the excitement on his face. Can he get 8 wickets? Let's hope he can. He bowls to Siraj, who defends outside off stump, turning back into Siraj and defends nicely for no run. Well, Todd Murphy, what a debut for him. Can he finish off the innings, get 8 wickets? He's into Siraj. This one defended nicely on the back foot from Siraj, and there's no run. Raj says 215. It's the end of the over. It's 9 for 380. Made an over from Murphy. Picked up the wicket of Mohammad Shami. Lead 203. First innings for India. And they are in a very dominant position. And they will be hoping to press home this advantage. But there's still a lot of work to do for India. It's not over yet. It's not done. They still got to take the wickets, and they still got to bowl, and they will know Australia will come out and try and be positive and get that positive intent going with the bat. If they are going to make any significant sort of progress, they've got to do that. Nathan Lyon into the attack. Will he get the last wicket? Line in to Patel. This one outside off stump from Lyon, and Patel defends straight back to Lyon for a dot ball. All right. Well, we've got some trivia questions, everyone. A bit of fun. We'll get to those in a minute. Lyon to Patel, defends on the front foot. Patel for no run. Easy from Patel. Raj says, I looked it up. He gave away 358 runs in total in that single match. 215 in the first and 143 in the second innings. Yes, Jason Krejci, yes. Got 12 wickets for the match, though. And not bad on debut, but never played again, really, for Australia. Defended again by Patel for no run. All right, we've got the trivia questions here. And for the first one, is for the Indian supporters and fans. If you know your Indian cricket history, you would know this one. Patel works this nicely into the deep on the offside. Warner does the fielding. They'll come through for a single. Now, in what year and venue did India win their first ever test match against Australia? Now, if you were listening to our historical series, the first two parts, you would know the answer. But if you are well equipped with Indian cricket history, you would know what year and which venue India did win their first test against Australia. It was quite a significant victory. It took them a very monumental effort to achieve it, and it was one person who contributed to that win. Line into Siraj. That's what wrapped Siraj on the pads for 4-leg buys. In the end, it wasn't leg buys, it was buys. He missed everything. Carey just didn't quite collect that ball. Races away for 4 buys, kicks the ground in disappointment. He should have really, well, actually, he couldn't do anything about that, really, Carey. Being a bit harsh on Carey there. That one just spun dramatically and just caught Carey by surprise. But 4 buys in the scorebook for India. So a bit of a trivia question there. What year and venue did India win their first ever test match against Australia? Line in, last ball of the over, and this one defended by Siraj comfortably for no run. It's the end of the over, 9 for 385. India lead by 208. Now, if you know the answer to this, if you listen to the historical series that we did, I did mention this in one of the episodes. I'm not going to tell you which one, but it was quite a significant win. We'll reveal the answer shortly, but it was a very well-earned victory by India. They certainly outplayed Australia. I will reveal the answer very shortly. But think about this carefully. You've got to do a little bit of elimination here. So try and whittle it down. Murphy in to Patel, gives it a big swing outside off stump, high in the air, falls safe out to Khawaja at deep cover for a single. Sorry, for no run. Not taking the single, Patel. Understandable. And batting with the tail, you just want to make sure that the experienced batsman is on strike. Now we'll give you until the end of the over, and then we'll reveal the answer. Murphy into Patel. This one defended comfortably on the front foot. No run from Patel. That one a single from Patel. One more added to the Indian total. Axar Patel is really batted well. Nine for 386. India. Their lead is over 200 runs. They are in a very dominant position. Murphy into Siraj. This one defended, and there's no run. 2 balls left of Murphy's over. What can he do? Get the last wicket. It's in now to Siraj. This one outside off stump. Oh, spins past back through the gate. In the end, it will race down to the fine leg boundary for buys. That one spun sharply outside off stump from Murphy. Nearly clean bowled Siraj. Good delivery there from Murphy. Good signs for him that he's getting some turn. That one hit the rough. Puff of dust. Alex Carey could not catch that ball that just bounced sharply on him. Get to the answer of the trivia question after this over. Quite a significant win for India. Murphy in to Patel, who dispatches him to the cover boundary, deep cover boundary for 4. It's the end of the over. India soldiering on. Their lead is 214. That's the end of the over. It's 9 for 3. Sorry, 9 for 3. 91. 135 overs. Now, the answer to this trivia question. If you watched the episode that I did in the historical series, you would know which venue and what year this historic Test Series win came for India. It was their first victory over Australia, the first time since the two countries were playing Test cricket since 1947-48, which was the first series in Australia. And it was quite a significant win. One player in particular was the architect for this win. And Australia succumbed to his spin. He was well known in Indian cricket. Okay, Nick. Yeah. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'll be happy to join you, Nick. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Nick. It's a difficult test match to watch, but oh well, that's the way it goes, isn't it? That's cricket. Okay, going back to this trivia question, everyone. Sorry, a little bit sidetracked there. I was just looking through my notes, but if you would remember, it was a significant win for India. Now, the answer to this is Nathan Lyon bowls to Siraj. This one's defended for no run. The answer is Green Park, Kanpur, 1959. India won by 127 runs. It was a brilliant comeback because the first test of that series, they lost by an innings and 127 runs in Delhi at the Fisher Kotla in that series. And an off-spinner by the name of Jasu Patel, who came out of retirement. He was around about 35 years old of age. He got 14 wickets for the match for India, and he got 9 for 69 in the first innings. And that was the best figures in Test cricket by a bowler for India until Anil Kumble got his 10 wickets against Pakistan in 1999. So if you answer Green Park, Kanpur, which is one of the venues in India, that's where India won their first test against Australia. So that's the answer to that. Just going back here, John said, I'm going with the 59-60 series, but no idea where, except it was in India. Well, yes, it was. And by doing some elimination and some analysis, you could deduct that, I should say. And it was in India. It was quite a very historical win for India for all sorts of reasons. It was their first ever Test win against Australia, and it was a very good win. Richie Benaud said at the time, they were the best side, and we were outplayed. But Australia went on to win that series 2-1. Maiden over from line, it's 9 for 391, 36 overs. 136 overs have been bowled, 214. India. Lead by, I should say, sorry. Lead by 214. So Raj says, I know Kanpur is one where we got an important win, but I don't know if it was against Australia. It was, Raj. You were right. A point for you. It was Green Park, Kanpur. And if you have a look at that episode, you have a look at the scorecard, it was a pretty good performance by India. And they weren't the best team going around in the 50s. They were struggling a bit. Australia were the best side. When they arrived in India, they were one of the best sides in the world. And as I mentioned in the episode, for that series, you know, they were coming into that series red hot. One of the best sides under Richie Benaud. And I mentioned that in the episode. So if you listen to that episode and listen to that historical win, you would know how they did it in India. Murphy into Patel. This one defended behind square. Offside, there's no run. Let me get the score up. Sorry, everyone. Just losing my train of thought here. Just losing track. Lots happening. Edge and... well, bowled from Murphy. Turn it away from the outside edge of Axel Patel. Sharp turn away from the left-hander. Nearly an outside edge. He's bowled well, this young man. Puff of dust, an explosion. Didn't go searching for it, Patel. He played the line. Didn't play against the spin. This one angled in to Patel's pads, and he just works it around the corner for a dot ball. Behind square on the leg side for no run. Raj, your comment. We last played in Campo in 2021-2022 against New Zealand. We almost won that one as well, but New Zealand batted a draw with the last wicket remaining. Yes, I remember that. Yes, I did see that test match in that series. And Murphy bowls to Patel. He dispatches him over the long on boundary for 6. India starting to put the pain on now, Australia. It's a slow, painful experience for Australia. They've been out there for a lot of overs. It's hot. They're frustrated. They haven't played well. And India cementing their authority in this match. And the Indian fans waving their flags with pride. Murphy in. This one driven straight back for no run. Raj says dust is starting to pop off now. Yes, indeed. Nick, you have an important question. You say, Jack, if the innings end soon, will they go right to lunch? We are approaching lunch, Nick, but India are 9 down. So if Australia get the last wicket, now the thing is here, when a side's 9 down before a break, they will play for an extra half an hour to allow Australia to get the last wicket. If Australia get the last wicket within the 30 minutes extra time, then both teams will go off for lunch. If they don't, and India survive until lunch, then it will be lunch. So we're at that stage now where if we're getting towards the lunch break, which we are, I think that's not far away. I think that's, correct me if I'm not with the timings, I think 11:30 in India's time for lunch. So we're nearly approaching that time. So if they're still 9 wickets down, we can extend the session. And that's just to maximize playing time and not waste time. So hopefully for India, they don't want to do that. They want to keep batting as long as they can for this 10th wicket partnership. Pat Cummins, he hasn't bowled much today. He's only bowled the one over. And India are 9 for 397. Update the score here. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're not far away from the end of this session. Could be in an extended session because India are 9 down. We could play an extra 30 minutes to get the last wicket. If not, then it'll be lunch. So I hope that's answered your question, Nick. Yes, say Nick. Axel, he's an interesting player. They start him for his spin ability, but it seems to me he has more consistency with his batting ability in the tail. Absolutely, he's quite handy. And that's the difference between India and Australia's tail enders, Nick, is that all of them can bat. Ashwin, Jadeja, and Patel, they've all got 50s and centuries in Test cricket. And we've seen that in this Test match. That's where I think Australia need to wrap up the tail quickly because they can't leak these runs because these are vital runs for India and it's really put them in a strong position. Raj says about the lunch situation, might have to bat 3 more overs and then if they got all outs, they will take lunch. Nick says, yeah, but they got Siraj in there. I'm shocked he has lasted this long. It won't be much longer. The pitch hasn't really done much. Really, it's been pretty okay for batting. Once you get set, it's pretty much easy to bat on. Runs have become easy, Nick. So yeah, it's easy going at the moment. Something that Australia can take into their second innings. Definitely, they can take that into their second innings. Hopefully, because I don't want Australia to lose by an innings, because I don't want that to happen. I've seen that many times when they've gone to the subcontinent. They always lose by an innings. Hopefully, Australia can avoid that today. Cummins in. This one defended by Siraj. Nicely on the front foot for no run. Dot ball. Yeah, everyone, a reminder that, where was it? That Nick is going to be streaming. I'm going to be joining him for the second session for a little while. So if you want to go over there and join us, then you can. And no doubt Nick will be loving this. And India, his team, are doing well. Not so much of an Australian supporter. Not much to smile about, but hey, that's Test cricket. You've got to bounce back from these setbacks. Pass the outside edge. Beats him. Cummins off Siraj. There's no run. So just a reminder, Nick's going to be live streaming Cricket for Americans. I know most of the people who've tuned in to watch me and that are from CFA Nation. Join us then. The interesting discussion that I will have with Nick, talking about this first test match and his thoughts and my thoughts. And it's pretty much one-way traffic, you would say now. Cummins in. This one a full toss. Defended nicely to cover by Siraj. No risk. It's a dot ball. And that's just a reminder there about that. Sorry, everyone. I just lost track of the comments. ABCD, good to have you here. You say, what do you think about Shami? Are you talking about his batting or bowling? He's a very good bowler, as we've seen in this test match, but also very handy with the bat. I think he's done an okay job and adds something to the Indian side, which is important. 2 balls left, so Cummins is over. It's been 4 dot balls. He's really built up pressure on Siraj. Wants to get the last wicket. He bowls to Siraj. This one squares Siraj up. Gets the outside edge down to the third man boundary for a single. And there is another run onto the total for India. Lead now 200 and... sorry, my mistake. Didn't take the single. That's understandable, especially when you're batting with the tail. You just want to make sure that the experienced batsman's at the other end. Cummins into Siraj. This one angled in on his pads. Defends to the leg side to mid-wicket for no run. It's the end of the over. It's 9 for 397. It's a maiden. Lead is still 220. India still in their first innings. We have a look at the batting stats. They don't make for good reading for Australia, especially in India. Steve Smith's got the best record. He's averaging 58. And the next best is, well, really, we can't really judge off that. Marnus obviously averaging 49, but he's only batted once. So we can't really, sort of make those comparisons. But definitely Steve Smith, the most experienced batter in these conditions. Just trying to find where we are in the comments here. John says, India might declare 10 minutes before lunch. They might. They can do that. Nick says, I disagree. The batting has been amazing. It has been amazing. That's for sure. Rohit Sharma was superb. It was an unblemished innings, really. It took a good delivery from Pat Cummins to knock him over. He got dropped the previous ball by Smith, and then Pat Cummins was frustrated by that, and he said, rightio then, I'm just going to bowl an absolute jaffa, knock over his off stump, and that's what he did. One of the best deliveries I've seen. Nathan Lyon in to Patel, who defends on the front foot. He's batting with ease. He's comfortable. He looks good, 82. He's been out there for 167 balls. Have to look at how many hours he's batted at the crease, but it's been a while. He was out there yesterday with Jadeja in the last session. Line in, this one angled in to Patel on the leg side, and he works it down to wide long on for a couple of runs. Siraj makes his ground. He had to dive and just readjusting his equipment after the dive. Have a look here. He wanted to Patel. It's early in the over, so he wants the strike, and that's understandable. But Siraj made it home. Pat Cummins has got a rocket arm. The throw was a little bit off target, a bit wide of Nathan Lyon. If it was a bit closer to Nathan Lyon and straighter to the stumps, would have been a lot close. But good to see Siraj putting in the desperation. You need to do that. You need to put in the dive. And lead now, 222, to quote Richie Benner. Line in, this one down the ground to long on for a dot ball, not taking the run. Patel, and that's understandable. ABCD, you say, what about Babar Azam? What do you think about his batting? Very good. Very good batter, Babar Azam. He's certainly one of the best in the world in all three formats, you would think. Dot ball again from Patel, defends. Couple of balls left in the over. Australia would like to keep Mohammad Siraj on strike for the next over. And hopefully Pat Cummins can get him out. Raj says, will Axel go for 100? It's a long way to go with Siraj at the other end. I think he wants to, but you got to put the team first, I think, Raj. And that's about batting time and batting long. He's doing the right thing. He's the most experienced batter of the two. He's harboring the strike. Another dot ball, hit it straight to the fielder at cover. So he needs to get a single off this last ball to retain the strike. He doesn't want to expose Siraj to Cummins. He doesn't get the single. It's a dot ball. Hits it straight to the fielder at cover again. Patel, it's the end of the over. It's 9 for 399. India's lead is 222. To quote Richie Benner, wonderful commentator, wonderful leg spinner, had a great series in India in 56, 59, really announced himself as a bowler in 56. Went on to became a very good leg spinner and captain of Australia. And one of the Australian captains to lead Australia in India. John says, depends what Rohit wants to do. Raj says, Babar Azam hasn't been tested enough. He is still young and hasn't scored outside UAE or Pakistan, mostly flat decks. Will be interesting. Pakistan do come out to Australia next year, this upcoming summer. So his record in Australia, he has scored a century, Babar Azam, in Australia. So he's done okay on Australian pitches, but the rest of his teammates will be tested, that's for sure. I think that's a 3-game series or a 2-game series. I'll have to check the Future Tours program for that. Raj says, we will see him flourish more and more, but we'll have to travel and score outside. Yeah, that's right. You usually have a good record out in home conditions, not so much outside of home. Yes, to say, Raj, I'm positive that he will do it, though. Yeah, absolutely. He's a quality player. John says 2 for 22. Yes, Richie Benner. And it's quite fitting that the lead is on 2 for 222. Wonderful. Wonderful player, Richie Benner. Wonderful captain as well. And never lost a series as captain. He lost a few games, of course, but never lost a series. And he won a couple of Ashes series as well. Cummins in to Siraj. Squares up Siraj, outside edge. Race away to the third man boundary for a single. The fielder will cut it off. Siraj is finally off the mark. And the 400 is up for India. A bit demoralising for Australia, knowing that 400 runs are being scored and we couldn't even score 200. Just shows India have batted really well on this surface, and it hasn't really played much tricks or hasn't really done much, which is quite a surprise. I don't think we were expecting that. We were expecting it to be difficult. Another trivia question for everyone. Now, if you listen to our historical series, you would know the answer to this. Who are the 4 Australian captains to lead Australia to their Test series wins in India? Now, there's only been 4 wins in India for Australian Test cricket. Can you name all the captains and what year they led the side to victory? If you can name the captains, that would be good. But if you can name the year, even better. Get extra points for that. But mainly name the captains who have led Australia to victory. If you listen to our historical series, you would know this answer. If you haven't, well, I would suggest check it out and watch it, because you would know. There's only been 4 who have done it. And, a couple of well-known captains in that list as well. We will reveal it after this over from Cummins, who bowls to Patel, who opens the face of the bat, glides it down to deep backward point for a dot ball, and he still keeps the strike. He's playing it responsibly here, Patel. So if you know the answer to this question, who were the 4 Australian captains to lead Australia to their 4 Test series wins? If you listen to the historical series, you would know. Cummins bowls to Axar Patel, beats him, all ends up. No, he's bowled him. In fact, he's bowled him. He knocked over the off bail, and that is the end of Axar Patel. He is gone for 84. The innings is over. India are bowled out for 400. They lead by 223 runs. The innings is over. Australia have done it. Pat Cummins has done it. And that is the end of the innings. India all out for 400. Lead of 223. Good delivery from Pat Cummins. I just thought that missed everything. But in the end, it came back in, just shaved the off stump. And that's all it needed to do, just to remove the bail. Pat Cummins thought that hit the stump and it didn't dislodge the bail, but it did. And his reaction has indicated that. Usually with the Singh bails, when the ball hits the stump, they usually don't dislodge, but it did with very little force. That's the end of the Indian innings. A dominant innings from the Indian batsmen, 400 all out in 139.3 overs. They lead by 223 on their first innings, and they are well in control to take a 1-0 series lead. Todd Murphy, the standout for Australia, and he will walk off the field, leading the side, lifting the ball aloft. 7 wickets for Todd, and he will remember this debut for a very long time. So I do believe that will be lunch. Last wicket has been taken. We're approaching lunch as well. Just making sure that it is lunch. And I think it probably is. So there we go. India all out for 400. Top scorer Rohit Sharma with 120. India all out for 400. Okay, we'll get to this trivia question, and then we'll probably wrap things up. If I do believe it is lunch. I haven't seen it, but I do think that it is lunch now. So Australia will have a very good lunch, I suppose, with this last wicket. All right, we'll get through the comments. We'll get through the answer of this trivia question. Before we do, ABCD says, Pat Cummins has disappointed a lot. He has done less than what was expected of him. It's definitely a tough test match for Pat. And, it's not easy, captaining India for the first time. But he's a good leader, Pat. And, you'll have setbacks in your captaincy journey. And this is one of them. But thanks for your comment and input, nonetheless. Raj says, interesting. One of your guesses here for this question. Do we count Gilchrist and Ponting as separate? Well, up to you, Raj. It's up to many people. It's up to them to determine that. Raj, you say Johnson, Benno, Gilchrist. Yes. Good guesses, but you're missing one. And you say, I don't know the third one. Maybe it was Border. Raj says, okay, I'm going with Johnson, Benno, maybe Laurie. I'm doubtful and Gilchrist. My final answer. John says Johnson 56-57, Benno 59-60, 69-70. Unsure about 2004 Gilchrist. Jay says Pat Cummins underbowled himself. He did. You can't blame him for that because you play two spinners. You're going to bowl two spinners predominantly, are you? So that's how he went. But nonetheless, Australia got the 10 wickets, and it's now over to them with the bat and see how they can do it. All right. Some very good guesses in the comments. And here's the answer. So in 1956, Australia's first tour, which was successful, they won 2-0 in the best of three, which included a one-off test against Pakistan. It was Ian Johnson. He was an off-spinner, led the side to victory. Then in 1959, Richie Benaud, in his first overseas tour as captain, he won that series 2-1 in the best of five. And Bill Lawry was the third. And in fact, it is Bill Lawry's birthday today. So happy birthday to Bill Lawry, the great man. He's 86 today. It's a strong innings. Wonderful player, wonderful commentator, and one of the captains to lead Australia to victory in 1969 when he led the side to win in India, and Adam Gilchrist in 2004. We had a question there from Raj. Do you count Gilchrist or Ponting? Well, Gilchrist captained 3 of the test matches. Ponting came back for the last, so you would say Adam Gilchrist has the right to have that wonderful achievement next to his name. So those are the 4 captains. Yes, Raj, you won a prize. I don't have a prize, Raj, but we can give you a point nonetheless. John says, Laurie, how could I forget? Yes, Bill Lawry. And it's his birthday as well. William Morris Lawry. It's his birthday today. 86. Wonderful innings. A marvelous innings, as Richie would say. He was one of the captains. So there we go. And Raj says, oh, yeah, happy birthday, Bill Lawry. Yes, of course. All righty then. That will do us. That's lunch on day 3, first session. India all out for 400 in 139.3 overs. The lead is 223. Australia will have to bat for survival. They will have to try and gain something from this first innings. Now, a quick reminder before we finish off. A quick reminder before we finish off here, just before we do. We'll get through the comments here. Raj says, so no Border, no Taylor, no War, no Ponting. John says, send fruit chocks as a prize. Can't get them in New South Wales. Raj says, it's a really long stretch of good captains who didn't win. Yes, because it's very hard to win in India. Many captains would know from Australia how hard it is to win. It's not that easy to do. So yeah, there we go. So there we go. That's the situation at lunch. Now, let us know in the comments your thoughts about that session. How did you rate that session? India's batting, Australia's bowling. And how do you see the game progressing as we progress through the second and third session of this third day, which is initially moving day in the test match. We're going to see plenty of movement, and we already have. India have firmed their advantage in this match. Australia have all the work to do. They are up against the wall, but it's the beauty of Test cricket. You really got to come back from these setbacks. Raj says, I somehow made up in my mind that Border won, but he was captain when the match was tied. Yes, that was the tied test in Madras, Chennai, 1986. Alan Border was captain, and that was a famous test. We may do an episode on that as well, about the tied test in 1986. That tied test against India is not really spoken highly about, actually. It was the second test that was tied in history, but many people talk about the West India tied test with Australia in 1960-61 and at the Gabba in Brisbane, more than the 1986 tied test with India and Australia. So we may do an episode on that, Raj. But definitely one of the best test matches that we've seen. Yes, India nearly won that. Yes, to say that was a stupid shot at the end. Yep, pressure. Pressure does weird things, I suppose, Raj. You do weird things under pressure. And then you look back and you probably think, oh, maybe I shouldn't really done that. So, yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. But Raj says, come on, we deserve that win. I think it was meant to be, Raj. I think it was meant to be that test match was meant to end in a tie. John says, was Greg Matthews the bowler who took the last wicket in that test? I think he was, John. And Greg Matthews was a weird character. I think he bowled in that series with a sweater, a long sleeve sweater in India. That doesn't make any sense. He was a weird character, Greg Matthews. But yes, he did take the last wicket, I think. And the umpire quickly raised the finger of doom. And that was the end of the match. It ended in a tie. And also the test match is best remembered for Dean Jones, of course, the late, great Dean Jones, scoring that wonderful double century in extreme conditions. And he made 210, I believe, from memory. Raj says, here is a cool idea. We can have a discussion since the series was named Border-Gavaskar. I think it started from 96-97 series. Yes, it did, Raj. Yes, it did. It started from that period. The trophy, in fact, an interesting fact about the Border-Gavaskar trophy, the trophy they have now wasn't the trophy for that first series. It was an ugly-looking trophy. I don't know what they've done with it now, but this trophy looks a little bit better than the first one they had. So you can actually Google it up and see it on the on Google. That picture of the first ever trophy. It looked ugly. But the Border-Gavaskar trophy now looks pretty splendid and looks pretty good. So I think both cricket boards decided, you know what, we'll probably scrap that trophy and get a new one. But yes, it did start in 96, 97. Raj says, I think that could be a segment as well. Yeah, could be. We could do an episode on that. Raj says, since the naming, India has won 8 series, Australia 5 and drawn 1. Yeah, you would expect that. Obviously, India winning those series in India, of course, and also winning the last couple of series in Australia. John says, Gucci, Warney, and Matthews, Avance here. Yeah. Those ads, yeah. Raj says, this looks so prestigious, though almost like a World Cup. Yeah, it sort of does. I don't know if you saw the first trophy, Raj, but if you Google it up, the trophy, the first ever trophy, it didn't really look that great. So they changed it after that, and they decided to get rid of it and to have the trophy that they do now. Alrighty then, lunch on day 3. India all out for 400, the lead by 223. It's fairly safe to say that India are in the box seat. That's a fair obvious observation. And it's fair to say Australia are up against the wall. But can they bounce back in this second innings? Time will tell. Raj says, I'm looking it up right now. Yep, do that, Raj. You'll see the trophy. It was an ugly-looking trophy, really. It wasn't the best-looking trophy around. There's great world trophies in world cricket, but And there we go. All right. There we go. Raj says there were 2 before this one. And you say, I like the second one. Yeah, the first one was not that great. It was, ugly, yeah. The first one, pretty ugly, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't really good, so they decided to get rid of that. I don't know where it is. No one knows where that trophy is. Some people have said, probably one of the boards have kept it still, or probably one of them probably got scrapped to probably make the new trophy. I don't know. That could be a possibility. Recycling at its best. But yeah, the second trophy looks a little bit better than the first one. Let's just say that. Yes. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us. And I will be back for the second session. A bit of a reminder for everyone that Nick and Gabe are going to be streaming the second session for a bit. And I'll be most likely joining them to offer my thoughts as an Australian supporter and offer my perspective from an Australian point of view on how this match has gone. But it's been difficult. So a reminder of that, I will be on Cricket for Americans with Nick and Gabe. As always, I'm happy to join them, talk cricket, especially this big series. And a reminder, go over there and make sure that you check it out, like the stream, subscribe. Nick and Gabe do wonderful stuff, and it's always great fun hanging out with them on their live stream. So no doubt we'll have some fun a little bit later on for the second session. So join me for that. And before we go, we'll answer the last few questions. Thank you, Raj. Yes, appreciate that. Thank you. Kind words. Jay says, I think Australia will play better in the second innings. Yeah, I think they will, Jay. The pitch hasn't really deteriorated as much. It hasn't really played much tricks. Yes, the ball has spun. There's been some puff of dust and explosion when the ball has gone through the top, but nothing out of the ordinary. So the Indian batsmen show that you can score runs on this surface. You just have to apply yourself, and you're able to do that. So I hope Australia have a different approach in the second innings. Thank you, Raj. Yes, hopefully we'll see you over there as well. John says the most important trophy was presented to the loser. Long may it stay. Stay there. Yep, thanks for that, John. I think you're talking about the Ashes, John. Yeah. Well, if you draw on the series, well, you get to retain the trophy. The urn, I should say. And the Ashes are coming up later on this year. Raj says the World Cup, which has was Prudential Cup, last played in 1983. We won, is still in Lord's Museum. We don't even have it in the BCCI office. Yes, it is. It's still at the museum at Lord's, purely based on its historic significance, Raj. I think it's quite fitting to have the trophy at Lord's, in the museum, so people can see it. People can see how that Indian team won that World Cup, which many people didn't think they would, but they did. They proved everyone wrong, and it was a great win against the mighty West Indies, who were in their pomp in 1983, very strong side, and they won that final in 1983. But maybe the BCCI had it for a while, and maybe they decided to give it to the Lord's Museum, I suppose. I don't know. We'll probably have to ask the MCC about that. Stephen says, can't blame the pitch. I'll tell team to counter-attack second innings, nothing to lose. Yeah, exactly right, Stephen. I think the best way to play cricket is to be positive. You can't go into your shell, be negative, because that can lead to, many things going wrong. The best form for Australia here is to attack, counter-attack, be positive. You got nothing to lose. You're 220 odd runs behind, unlikely to, win this match, but you can definitely gain something from it. And no doubt the Australian batsmen have got a very long, difficult day ahead of them. But that's Test cricket. That's the beauty of it. You got to challenge yourself, and they're in a challenge and a battle, but you can't surrender. You've got to be positive. Raj says, we have people in India who can see it for more and far too many times if it was in Mumbai. Raj says, anyway, I'm going to go get some food. See you over at CFA. Yep, Raj, take care and hope to see you over there. John says, the Brits like to hoard all the trophies. Well, they do have the Ashes urn at the MCC Museum at Lord's. Obviously, the actual urn itself, but now these days it's a Waterford crystal Ashes urn that is presented to the winning side for the Ashes, which is a splendid trophy, a splendid piece of craftsmanship. And that was brought in 1998-99 when Mark Taylor was the first captain to be presented with that Waterford crystal Ashes urn when Australia won that series in Australia almost 25 years ago now, so it's a long time. Raj says they can give it back now since they started winning their own. Yeah, they could. But I think you probably have to ask the Lord's Museum, Raj. Get in contact with them and say, let's have the trophy back. But anyway, that's what they have done there. All righty then. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. It's been great for this first session. As a reminder, I will be back for the second session. I will be back with Nick and Gabe to live stream the second session on Cricket for Americans. I'll be joining them to offer my thoughts on this match. And a reminder to make sure that you go over to Cricket for Americans, subscribe, and like what Nick and Gabe are doing. They just released a video. I believe it was Aaron Finch blasting the 156 in that T20 match against England in 2013. I have fond memories of that, waking up early to see that innings around about 4 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. What an innings that was. Aaron Finch recently retired from T20 cricket. So make sure you tune in for that live stream. I'll see everyone there, and I hope we have a good time, just like we have for this live stream for over 2 hours. We'll get to the final comments, and then I'll pull up stumps and head over to CFA and see everyone there to talk about the cricket. But John says, see you on the Loud channel. Well, you get used to it, John. You get used to it. If you don't wear headphones for Nick and Gabe's videos, it saves your ears a bit. But it's always great fun hanging out with Nick and Gabe, and happy to help out, happy to talk cricket with them. So looking forward to it, and that's not far away, actually. That's in another 40 or so minutes away. So we will be there, and we'll have a great time. But, see you there, John, and thanks for tuning in as always. Thanks for the support. Raj says, not really, gold-plated. Jay says, is the trophy real gold? No, I think I agree with Raj there. It's just plated gold. If it was real gold, it would have been a lot heavier. Just plated gold there, Jay. But anyway, it looks pretty good than the first trophy. As we discussed earlier, the first trophy looked a bit ugly. But the second trophy, much better than the first one back in 1996-97 series. Raj says, women's IPL auction is happening tomorrow, I think. I will be keeping an eye out over there too. Yeah, absolutely. Great for the women's game. Yes, say Raj, day after tomorrow. Yeah, great for the women's game. T20 World Cup is happening in South Africa for the women, and hopefully Australia. We wish them all the best in their title defence, and hopefully they can win another T20 World Cup in South Africa. It's not going to be easy. There's some other teams that are making their case. India, England. You can't write them off, but definitely Australia firm favourites to win another women's T20 World Cup title. But the women's IPL definitely going to change the face of the women's game, Raj, and that's going to be happening very soon. Before the IPL, before the men's IPL starts in March, April, and that time. Alrighty then. I think that's all the comments. Thanks everyone for joining us. As I said, I'll be over at Cricket for Americans with Nick and Gabe, streaming the second session and hoping that we see some more enthralling cricket. And it's been an exciting test match thus far. If you're an Indian supporter, you'll be delighted with how your team's gone. If you're an Australian supporter like me, disappointing, but it's not a surprise when Australia comes to the subcontinent. But let's hope we see some positive fight from Australia in the second innings. Until next time, sorry, we get to the comments. Got one more here from John before we go. John, you say, will it be the 6th or 7th T20 World Cup titles for the ladies, for the Australian women's team? The Women's World Cup's been going on since 2009. So I did see this yesterday, John, the list of winners. Australia's won most of them, obviously. England have won one, the West Indies have won one, and Australia have won all of them. So you could be right there, John. 6 or 7 titles, I think, for the Australian women's team, which is a remarkable record. They have played really good cricket. They're going through a bit of a transition phase in terms of getting new players in, but even the new players are playing really well. So it's great to see. Women's cricket in Australia is really in a good place. And no doubt it's going to be a great campaign to their T20 World Cup in South Africa. And let's hope they get the job done and get another title because they've played really well. So that you're probably right there, 6 or 7. I'll probably have to check that and I'll probably let you know. There we go. Okay, so a reminder, I will be over at Cricket for Americans for their live stream of this second session on day 3. And hope you can join us then. Before I go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Podcast is available on Anchor, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts as well. So make sure you do all those good things and click the bell. It's very easy. Click the bell. It's not a hard thing to do. That little bell icon next to the channel's name, so you get all the notifications when we post an episode, when we upload interesting episodes on cricket, match reviews, live streams, watch-alongs, so you don't miss out on all the fun. So you can be a part of it, but you got to subscribe, click the bell, so you don't miss out. But do all those good things. But thanks everyone for the support. I appreciate it, and I hope everyone has had a great time. Hoping for a good time over at Cricket for Americans. And I'll see everyone there. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.